The Senate hearing on the crypto crash currently underway. We are looking at live images out of Capitol Hill. Investor Kevin O'Leary, who was paid $15 million by FTX to be a spokesperson, among those testifying this morning. Take a listen to what he had to say in opening statements.
The collapse of FTX is nothing new. While this situation is painful for shareholders, employees, and account holders, in the long run, it does not change this industry's promise. Enron came and went and had no impact on the energy markets. Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers' demise had no impact on the long-term potential of American debt and equity markets.
Kevin O'Leary adding there that the recent collapse of crypto companies has a bit of a silver lining here. Joining us now is Seth Berenzweig, managing partner at Berenzweig, Leonard. Interesting arguments coming out of this hearing. You heard Kevin O'Leary make that argument there. You also heard Senator Pat Toomey say, look, you look back at the financial crisis, just because there were bad mortgages didn't mean we got rid of mortgages altogether. Do you buy that argument?
Well, I think there's some merit to it. I don't think you can throw the baby out with the bathwater. Certainly, there are going to be some altcoins that are going to meet their final demise. But make no mistake about it, Washington has declared war on crypto. That was apparent through the House Financial Services Committee hearing yesterday, as well as the Senate Banking Committee today. And while there is some divergence of opinion, and some differences certainly between the Republicans and Democrats, you can see that there is really going to be a widespread attack. And as has happened through yesterday and today, basically everybody is throwing Sam Bankman-Fried under the bus. SBF they loved him, now they hate him. Yesterday, they didn't just throw him under the bus, they threw him under a fleet of buses. And I think Washington really feels very flat-footed right now because it was just a couple of weeks ago that SBF was on Capitol Hill. He was the darling of the committees. He was supposedly the protector of consumers. And now we have this huge fleece that we have uncovered. So I think that has really caused some consternation and grief in Washington. Now there's going to be the pendulum swinging to the other side.
Is it fair to say that there is a war declared on crypto? I mean, we heard Pat Toomey today say, don't get rid of crypto. This is not the reason to do that. Remember, the focus is on Sam Bankman-Fried. This isn't about the assets that were in place. It's about how those assets were used.
That's exactly right. And I think that the issue with that, though, is that I think there is a minority. There are different fractions in Congress. There are certainly conflicts that are going on right now. There are some that want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and there are others that are saying that we really just need to attack what the problems are and just excise that out of the system. But the problem right now is that the regulators are so far behind that even if you take a look at the litigation that's going on right now, there's going to be a huge clarion call to have a complete reshuffling of the decks and what's going on in terms of regulation. You have to have a scorecard to keep track of all the new litigation that's going on. You have the FTX bankruptcy case, you have the SDNY criminal case, you have the SEC administrative enforcement case. Ironically, Kevin O'Leary is a defendant in a Miami federal class action case with a whole parade of celebrities. So yes, I think that you are right that there are some voices on Capitol Hill that are going to have a voice of reason. And I think that that's the correct thing to do. But there's going to be a lot of heavy debate and a new flood of hearings and legislation because certainly something has to be done on this terrain.
And Seth, it's interesting because on the one hand, you sort of have this regulatory vacuum, and now you have multiple agencies all jumping in at the same time with different civil and criminal charges. How does this play out in terms of the regulators who really still haven't defined certain crypto assets right now?
Well, that's exactly right. And I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of what the problem is. You know, does the SEC, in fact, have jurisdiction over cryptocurrency? Is it really a security? Keep in mind that we don't even have basic regulation with regard to U.S. Basic stable coins as they have to be footed to the dollar. The problem that really lies underneath this is that technology always outraces bureaucracy. And there's really going to be a huge catch-up game right now. I don't believe that crypto is dead. I think crypto is going to be with us for a long time. There's going to be a dramatic change because we really have just a whole cacophony of voices right now in Washington that really got caught flat-footed. And there will be changes. They're going to be really playing catch-up, but there has to be new regulation. Hopefully they won't be going in too deep. But I agree with you that they are behind and that they will make some significant changes, but crypto and blockchain will certainly be with us. But make no mistake about it, we're just going to have to buckle up and be ready for a lot of hearings and a lot of turbulence coming up over the coming months, especially here in Washington.
What about the enforcement of existing regulations that are already on the books?
Well, some of the laws that are already on the books, frankly, still really don't answer a lot of the questions of what's going on right now. And frankly, there was a letter that was disclosed in the hearing yesterday where the Republicans were chastising the Securities and Exchange Commission for not going too strong against the crypto exchanges because they didn't want to inhibit their freedom of operation. So there's going to be a discussion of what's really not only the enforcement within the SEC, but what are the basic kinds of regulations that have to be put into place? Keep in mind, there really is a void because business really is running at a much faster pace than Congress. But the hearings will be talking a lot about what has to be done. And unfortunately, the hearing yesterday was really a lot more on glitz and really throwing Sam under the bus, but really not talking much on substance. But you'll hear a lot of that coming up in January.
And certainly something that might require some global coordination as different countries try and manage this as well. A big thank you to Seth Berenzweig there. Berenzweig, Leonard, Managing Partner. Thank you for joining us this morning.